Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Eugene Reviews here on YouTube. I am your host, Eugene. And today we are going back again to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for another one of these video journal reviews. It is going to be the 20th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's none other than the sequel to the 2015 action/comedy surprise known as Ant-Man, and it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. As far as my history with watching Ant-Man, I saw it in theaters with a bunch of friends, probably the Dolby formatted feature at AMC back when movie theaters were still packed. And yeah, that was, I think, the only time I recall watching the film. It was probably an evening screening more than likely, so that's kind of my quick take on that. So nothing really kind of to delve in my history of viewing this film. Let's go ahead and go into the 3 acts for Ant-Man and the Wasp. But before we do that, I'd like to encourage you to please hit the bell notification on my channel so that you can be updated on any and every single form of content that's going to be provided and uploaded on YouTube whenever it comes out. All right, let's get to it. Act 1, Development. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Take 1. So Ant-Man and the Wasp was virtually announced right maybe soon after the release of the first Ant-Man back in 2015. So right around maybe 2015, 2016 is when they announced that they were going to do a part 2, which was kind of expected, being that this is going to be an essential part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When it was announced, it virtually looks like everybody came back for this role, with the exception of a few new characters that were going to be comprising new roles, of course. And something interesting to note, Paul Rudd himself, Ant-Man, would be at the helm of writing, be one of 4 writers at the writer's chair whenever it came to the development for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Peyton Reed, who was kind of virtually came in to finish up the project for Ant-Man for the original director Edgar Wright, who stepped away from the film, is now fully fledged into this film as the full-on director for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Interesting to note that the film came out on July 6, 2018, which was roughly about a month and change after the recent MCU film, which happens to be their biggest yet as of that date, Avengers: Infinity War. Now, Avengers: Infinity War was a very dark, very serious, very gripping type of MCU film. So to shift from that all the way to a more funny, lighthearted, more sensible type of feel-good film, that's a big transition. But could Ant-Man and the Wasp pull that off? Let's take a look at it on Act 2. Act 2, Execution. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Take 1. So as I had mentioned, 2 things I had mentioned before. Ant-Man and the Wasp would virtually see everybody return, and they had a very star-studded cast if you think about it. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Bobby Cannavale, Judy Greer, David Dasmachin, T.I. Harris, Michael Pena, as well as the young lady who played Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang, in the first film. I do not remember the name of the actress by heart, I apologize. But the film would see some very big key new additions in the series that included, but aren't limited to, Michelle Pfeiffer, Walton Goggins, Randall Park, Hannah John Kamen, and Lawrence Fishburne. So already off the top of the bat, it feels like this is a very big cast and ensemble for Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is a good thing. And as I mentioned before, this is coming off the heels of Avengers: Infinity War, where we really didn't see Ant-Man at all. So it's weird to see that big of an ensemble in Infinity War and not see one of their characters, Ant-Man, be displayed. However, we get to see it here on Ant-Man and the Wasp and see what really happened during the time when the Avengers were dealing with Thanos. And it's a big shift in tone from the seriousness and dark complexities to this lighthearted, feel-good, effortless type of action flick. And I think it's necessary, and it was a good thing that we had this type of film to take us from the somber, dark, and ominous tone to a lighthearted feel-good. It shows the range of genres that the MCU can tackle and manage. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, you can depend on for the laughs, you can depend on for the lightheartedness, you can depend on for the humor, you can depend on effortless charm and charisma and performances, especially from Paul Rudd. So all of those boxes are checked, and I think it was good to have that to kind of cleanse our palate from the darkness that was Avengers: Infinity War. It felt genuine, it felt joyous, and it felt effortless, like I said, because of the performances from Paul Rudd, even Evangeline Lilly. The chemistry that those two bounced off of was really, really charming. It was really intriguing, and I think was a strong point throughout the entire film. And it made me invest not only in the camaraderie, but also in the romantic little tie-ins that they have. While it feels like it doesn't take itself very seriously, it does feel like it was necessary to ease the tension, once again, from everything that happened a month ago with Infinity War. It's still great in regards to its story and its action sequences and the humor, the comedy. I think that it just feels good to watch this film after having to experience such a somber and very heart-drenching flick in Infinity War. It was a good kind of balance to it, and I think that Ant-Man and the Wasp did a great job in giving us, once again, the story of Pym, Lang, Hope Van Dyne, and the rest of the cast in this particular side of the world, and to give us this new perspective on what was going on during and after the snap, or the blip. All right, so once again, you had the lightheartedness and the humor that was a cleanser of palates for everyone after Infinity War. Star-studded cast. I mean, very underrated star-studded cast. That includes a lot of A-list stars and some under-the-radar, very, very great performers. And really just the overall inclusion and perspective of this section of the world, this section of the cinematic universe, as to which we see what's going on this side before, during, and after the snap from Thanos in Infinity War. All right, with Act 2 out of the way, let's go ahead and go on to Act 3 for the response for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Act 3, response. Ant-Man and the Wasp, take 1. Being that it's Marvel, being that it's a sequel, being that it's Ant-Man, of course it's going to generate a few followings, it's going to generate some people to go into theaters, and it actually did some really good numbers. Overall, worldwide, Ant-Man grossed in about $622 million, which put it right into the top 15, but just behind the top 10 at number 11. Many people praising that the film was lighthearted, effortless, and just a good humored type of flick that was able to balance out the darkness and the serious tones that was presented in Infinity War. As far as its comparison to the first Ant-Man film, there are some that you can bump into that say that the first one was better, and there are some that you can bump into that says that the second one was better. Overall, it seemed like a generally positive response. I don't think it's any kind of indication of a swarm of negative responses per se. I don't think anybody really hated this film, but then again, I don't think people would put this as a spectacular masterpiece of comic book films. It's right there, you know, in the top half where it's good and it's very, very feel good. You know, it's a light-hearted, toned film, and I think anyone and everyone can enjoy this type of film. All right, so quick and to the point for Act 3. We've gone through all 3 acts. Now let's go ahead and hit the nail in the head with my verdict for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a really good film and was, I think, placed in the right positioning in the MCU, to which, after we had gone through that thrill ride and very, very heart-drenching tale of Infinity War, we can rise ourselves up and kind of invest ourselves in this non-serious but very, very entertaining and lighthearted fun in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I personally think it is a step up from the first Ant-Man film. It does present more characters to invest in, and a very more commandeering lead in Paul Rudd in Ant-Man, where it feels like it was shared with Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, and Scott Lang in the first Ant-Man. It feels more so that it's Scott, Paul Rudd taking the realms and taking the reins. So I think that's a really strong indicator and a really, really strong approach to this sequel. And I really do think that this film, once again, was a good palate cleanser for us after a month out of experiencing the snap with Infinity War and experiencing really kind of a heart-drenching tale. And for this to play out the way it did, purely entertaining, purely funny, purely action-packed, and something that the entire family can enjoy as well. So kudos to Ant-Man and the Wasp for having that type of tone, for presenting us this perspective, and for really showcasing the MCU can balance out and really show and display and illustrate these different genres throughout its entire cinematic universe. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Ant-Man and the Wasp an 8.2 out of 10. This being the 20th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know where this is going in regards to the rankings. Somewhere on this list is going to be the updated rankings with Ant-Man and the Wasp, and here it is. Damn it, why did I snap? No snapping, no. But anyways, here is my updated rankings for the MCU. We've gone through 20 films. That just means we are down to 3 more films, at least until we get caught up, and hopefully get caught up before the release of Black Widow. I think the world is telling me to go ahead and wrap this up because Black Widow is coming out in July. So let's see if we can wrap this up really quick. But that concludes my take and my overall video journal and review on Ant-Man and the Wasp. What did you guys think of Ant-Man and the Wasp? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Did you think there were things that it could have done without that maybe was a bit too much? Did you think that it did something better than the first one or worse than the first one? Let me know in the comments section below. Any and all comments, as long as it's appropriate, are welcome. I want to hear any and everyone's thoughts on this, as well as any other MCU films, or even any other films in general. Anything movie related. I would love to hear from you, please. I would love to hear all your thoughts, all your opinions, and let's have a healthy discussion about these, and let's have a healthy discussion about movies. I really want that. Thank you for tuning in to Eugene Reviews today. It's been a pleasure doing these. As I always say, I hope you guys enjoy watching these as much as I enjoy doing these. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment as much as you can on this video and the previous videos I've done. Be sure to check out my other social media platforms such as Twitter and Instagram, where I do other postings of other movie-related content. You'll also see on my Instagram some of the recommendations for the month. Since it's April, I will go ahead and put up soon, if I haven't put it up yet, a top 5 recommendations for the month of April, so be on the lookout for that. As I said also in the beginning, please hit the bell notification so you can be updated on any and all content from Eugene Reviews once it hits YouTube. If you like this channel, if you like this video, please share it to a friend, a family member, a loved one. Get the word out about Eugene Reviews. I want to see if we can expand our numbers into 2021. I know I've kind of been off my game, been on a hiatus doing other things, but I want to kind of pick it back up and dip my feet back in the water again. So let's keep this show on the road and let's, keep the ball rolling. Until then, that concludes this brand new episode of Eugene Reviews. This is Eugene signing off, and I will see you guys once again for another episode very, very soon on Eugene Reviews. And that is a wrap. Hey ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? It's Eugene again. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit the like button. Also, if you want to keep up on some new content that's going to be coming out soon, please hit the bell notification and turn on your notifications so you can be alerted on any and all content from Eugene Reviews that comes out instantly when it comes out on YouTube. As far as my future projects, here is a list of some future projects that are coming up pretty soon. Be on the lookout for those. Also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Eugene Reviews on both platforms. Once again, like, share, subscribe. If you have a family, a friend, a loved one that is interested in movies, movie-related news, tell them to hit a subscribe button on this channel. Helps me out tremendously, and it means the world to me. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoy doing these, and I look forward to seeing you guys very soon here on Eugene Reviews.